Hello everybody! In this episode of Making Paper Minecraft in Scratch, we'll be adding the player movement scripts. Firstly, I would like to thank a scratcher called Finding Pepper3, whose projects and tutorials I have taken the world generation scripts from. I will leave a link to their channel and project in the description below, and you can watch their videos as they go into more detail than mine. As a quick note before we begin, in the block sprite, you need to change the set tile to tiled index of tile grid to just tile index of grid, as that is the new location of where the world is being generated to. As you can see here, the world generation now looks amazing thanks to the scripts of Finding Pepper3. Firstly, we're going to be working in the player sprite. Let us create a new custom block together, reset player, run without screen refresh. We are going to create two new variables, X for this sprite only, and Y for this sprite only. We're going to want to set both of these to 100, so set X and set Y to 100. Now we are going to drag the set camera X and set camera Y blocks to the bottom of this reset player hat block, and add a move camera to set to position afterwards. Now add the reset player block to above the forever loop. Now when we run the project, it runs just as it did before, which is good. Create with me a new custom block called Game Loop. This one will be running with screen refresh as it contains a forever loop that we want to repeat forever. Now drag the forever loop to it, and underneath the green flow blocks put the game loop block. We create a new broadcast event, Move Player. And we put it at the top of this forever loop. Drag a when I receive Move Player block underneath this. Create with me two new variables, Speed X for this sprite only, and Speed Y for this sprite only. Under the Move Player receiver, we want to set Speed X to key right arrow pressed. Now if we make Speed X visible, we will be able to see that it alternates between true and false depending on if we have our right arrow pressed or not. Now if we change it to right arrow subtract nothing, we'll be able to see that it alternates between 0 and 1 instead. However, if we change it to right arrow subtract left arrow, we'll be able to see that it goes between -1 and 1. Now let's make the speed Y variable reporter visible. But before we do speed Y, let's make speed X become changed by 6 pixels rather than 1 at a time, just so we can see it better. Now we duplicate it and change it to speed Y with up arrow, subtract down arrow. Underneath this, we want to change x by speed x and change y by speed y. Now we will go to xy, and for the x receiver we'll put a subtract, and for the y receiver we shall put a subtract. I will be subtracting take camera x and take camera y, so it'll be x subtracts camera x and y subtracts camera y. And below this, add a move camera block. At the top of the move camera block, add a set camera x to x and add a set camera y to y. Now when we move around, as you can see, it works, but when we're going upwards it feels very jagged and not smooth. So what can we do to fix this? Well, firstly, we can change camera y by a divide with a subtract on the left side, y subtract camera y, all divided by 4. As we test this now, going up and down vertically is much more smooth, but if we change this to a larger value, as you can see, it becomes even more slower to come to a stop. But for our project we're just going to set it to 4. For us to be able to calculate collision now, the first thing that we need to do is calculate our position on the tile grid. So with me, make a new custom block called getTile at x with an input of x and y with an input of y. Run without screen refresh. So now what we're going to do is create some new variables. Tile grid x for this sprite only, tile grid y for this sprite only, tile index for this sprite only, and tile for this sprite only. Now we want to set tile grid x to the floor, which rounds it down, of x divided by 32. However, we want to have it as the tile move step of block, as it can change. Now we duplicate this, and same thing for tile grid y, just replace all references to x with y. Now we want to set tile index to plus, a plus on the left side and a multiplication on the right hand side of that, 1 plus tile grid y plus tile grid X multiplied by grid height. Now after you want to set tile, the tile index of tile grid. So tile index of tile grid. We can now add this block to the bottom of the move player and input our X position and our Y position as the input values. And now we had to change the report of a tile to visible, but oh no, nothing's coming up. This is because we've accidentally pressed it as tile grid, not a grid, which our world actually is in. As you can see now, it reports different values for whichever tile is underneath the centre of our position. In fact, now, as we don't actually need the tile grid list anymore, what we're going to do is delete it. Let's make a new custom block. Handle collision at points X and Y. Run without screen refresh. To start, we're going to get tile at this one's input of X and Y. And now we're going to make some more new variables. Solid for this sprite only. Mod X for this sprite only. Mod Y for this sprite only. Fix DX for this sprite only. And fix DY for this sprite only. So if the tile is greater than 2, then we set solid to 10. Now we set mod X to X mod the tile move step of block. We duplicate this for mod Y. Replacing all the X values with Y's. Now we add 4 if conditions. if fixed dx is less than 0, we're going to change x by a subtraction of the tile move step of block subtract mod x. Now we do the same thing for y. So if fixed dy is less than 0, then we change y and mod y. Now, if fixed dx is greater than 0, we're going to change x by negative 0.01 subtract mod x. As you can see here, you need to put the negative sign at the start. Now we do the same thing, but for dy. So we do negative 0.01 subtract mod y, and if fixed dy is greater than 0. Now we need to create a new custom block called handle collisions in direction with an input of dx and dy run without screen refresh. You want to create a new variable, height, for this sprite only. We want to set fixed dx to dx and set fixed dy to dy. We will set solid to a blank value, just press backspace. And now we will handle collision at point x and y. Now we duplicate it twice more. Y subtract and y plus the variable height. We will now go to the reset player block and set the height variable to tile move step of player. This next section has some missing codes, so only follow the code that is being written. Add the handle keys block to the top of the move player receiver when you see it. Now we're going to create a custom block. Handle keys left right. Run without screen refresh. Create a new variable, key walk, for all sprites. We want to set key walk to right arrow subtract left arrow. We now want to set speed X to plus and multiplications on either side. On the right hand side, key walk multiplied by 1.25, and on the left, speed X multiplied by 0.8. Now we add the receiver for this block to the top of move player. Create a new custom block. Move sprite X. Run without screen refresh. Drag the change X by speed X, and in its place, put the move sprite X block. Now drag the change X by speed X, and underneath it, put the handle collision in direction speed X, and for the Y, put 0. Now add an if tile is greater than 2, set speed X to 0. Now when we walk around, we have collision with anything that is to our left or to our right. Now we want to implement it vertically. So create a new custom block, handle, keys, jump, run without screen refresh. Now drag the set speed Y block, and in its place put the handle keys jump, and drag the set speed Y to this new definition. Create a new variable, falling, for this sprite only. Add an if, key up arrow pressed, set speed y to 0, but we change that to 14. So now if less than five, so if falling is less than 5, we set speed y to 14. Now we want to change speed by y by -2. And if speed y is less than -12, we want to set it to -12. Now when we run the project, as you can see, we fall straight to the bottom. Now create a new custom block. Call it Move Sprite Y. Run without screen refresh. Now take the change y by speed y and replace it with the sprite's new definition of Move Sprite Y, like this. So now when we move sprite Y, we change Y by speed Y, and then we handle collision in direction 0 and then speed Y. So now when we run the project, as you can see, we are now being sent upwards to the top, which is what we wanted to see. Now, as an if, solid is greater than 0, and an if inside of that if, speed y is less than 0, we want to set falling to 0, and then the outside set speed y to 0. So now when we run the project, as you can see, oh no, we spawned in a cave. Right, we retry that. I see now we've got vertical collision, and we want to change falling by 1 so we can jump. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, consider leaving a like and subscribe. Have a nice day. Goodbye.